Hey you Stygian Dogs, it's November 6th, and this marks the release of issue number 3 of Battle of the Blackstone from Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures. Titled Battle of the Blackstone Part 3 Quest into Darkness, Jim Zub and Jonas Scharf continue their macabre march with an issue that pays homage to Robert E. Howard's cosmic horror classic Dig Me No Grave. More on this in the conclusion. We'll take our usual thorough look at the book, but first, while you go out and buy it, let's quickly recap last month's issue and then take a look at this month's covers. James Allison, uncusped and bounded no more, brings warning of the mark's true meaning. The heroes of man are hunted. By a beastly behemoth from beyond, Brissa enters the fray, and the cast of characters join Conan in the Hyborian Age, where it's kill or be killed. Reality rent asunder, the beast's vengeance is felt across space and time, as 6 souls stand upon the precipice of a terrifying toll. Now, onto the covers. The excellent cover A is from Liam Sharpe, and we'll soon see Sharpe's work on the pages of The Savage Sword of Conan, so more info to come there. Cover B, featuring a quirky illustration imbued with childlike innocence, is from Scott Campbell. And cover C, picturing Conan in the company of Brissa and Agnes de Chastillon, is from Danica Brine. And I'll note here that Danica will be the artist on issues number 17 and 18 of the ongoing Conan the Barbarian series, so consider this a sneak peek at what's to come. Now, on to the exciting issue. And here we go. I'll flip through the book, present a few close-ups of panels. I'll try not to read too much verbatim, and I will outline the general plot and happenings. I want you to be curious and to grab your own copy. Seriously, I implore you, buy these great comics. I want to give you a sense of how things look and to convey my excitement and a few summary thoughts. But be warned, if you want a pure reading experience, and I know you do, I will caution you about spoilers. If inclined, feel free to skip ahead to the conclusion. My review there will be spoiler-free. On the inside cover, an advertisement for a new chapter of the massive narrative event and the forthcoming Conan Cult of the Obsidian Moon by James Lovegrove. I'm definitely excited to check this out. Opposite that, credits for the teams at Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics. And then, as with the ongoing monthly series, we begin with the truncated version of the Numidian Chronicles, a map of the Hyborian Age, and a summary of events thus far. Battle of the Blackstone, Part 3, Quest into Darkness. The remaining heroes of man, 6 souls against the eldritch unknown. Grim Jim Zub writer, jaunty Jonas Scharf artist, jumping Joao Canola color artist, rascally Richard Starkings and Comic Craft's Tyler Smith lettering, calamitous Chris Butera editor, and merciless Matt Murray consulting editor. In the Pictland jungles and a trek bound to last for days, Conan confronts Brissa. How did she survive when the Black Tower crumbled? Brissa relates the events as depicted in The Savage Sword of Conan number 4, her mother's spirit, and a quest to lift an ancient curse of corruption. And what then, Conan queries? Will she live once more or fade away like a ghost? The outcome is unknown. The Pict finds in Conan a fire still burning bright, and Conan hopes his fire has fuel enough to find their destination. Brissa has a way to guide them, a piece of the cursed black stone, quivering with energy and the sputtering whisper of James Allison, his strange spirit seeking the source. Meanwhile, Dark Agnes, wary of her newfound companions, speaks to Kane of the mission's madness. Kane bonds with the woman in her mother tongue, establishing the proximity of their respective eras and the mystery of their shared circumstance. Conrad, ever optimistic, logs events as Kirowan opines on the reality of certain doom. The journey is arduous. Trust found in nightmare-driven necessity, they follow James Allison's tether. A shard of the Blackstone, a sliver of the dark. Conrad advances, when suddenly James Allison appears, uncusped and bounded no more. The scholar of the supernatural, John Conrad, driven as if by dark ritualistic need, retreats to somewhere else. In a wonderful tribute to Robert E. Howard's Dig Me No Grave, events move to the Grimlin estate in 1934 in the aftermath of a foul ritual and a dark deed done. The sinister sentry seen in the searing smoke is the Blackstone Beast, on the hunt. Kirowan, at a loss, seeks time to break the spell, but it's too late. But for a futile attempt to sever Conrad's appendage from the cursed source. The behemoth, bearing the mark of El Borak's sword-struck blow, advances on Conrad. And Conan's blade beckons. History is rewritten in a muzzle flash, a new page in an old story. The Cimmerian is too late, and now there are only 5. Kane accuses Brissa of being in league with the darkness. As Conan jumps to her defense, Kirowan grieves the loss of his dearest friend. Amidst the desperation, Dark Agnes states that she will not stand waiting to be slain for sport. No more riddles and games, let it be done. Inscribing the sigil, the sign, to suicide. Conan shoves the damn fool aside, but it's too late. Too late indeed. The baneful beast beckoned from beyond eagerly answers Agnes's anguish. The creature's limb catches Conan in its cannon-shredding course, casting the crumpled Cimmerian to the ground. Kane cautions Agnes that she cannot kill the beast, but she will only trust in her heart and blade and their sweet song of slaughter. Kirowan bids Kane to cover the retreat and to take the opportunity to seize the sliver of black stone. There's no time to stand frozen like a statue. With flintlock in hand, Agnes has chosen her fate. The Fellowship flee the folly of Agnes's furious fervor. The warrior's red rage, fearless and free. Now there are 4 frantic souls, seeking escape and a moment's rest. But it is all for naught. The Cimmerian succumbs, and there are 3 now. To be concluded. And so ends issue number 3 of Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, an issue marked by the deaths of many, suggesting grim prospects for what's to come in the final issue number 4. This reader can only imagine that events will open 2 fronts for a climactic battle, one in the worldly realm with the survivors, Kane, Brissa, and Kirowan, and another in the ethereal with Conan and the other fallen heroes of man. Whatever Zub's plans are for the final issue, it's bound to be an action-packed banger. Join me for more in the conclusion. On the adjacent page, we see an advertisement for a new era of bravery and heroism. So many trade paperback and omnibus collections to purchase. After this, a look at the covers gallery. And then turning the page, part 3 in Jeffrey Shanks' series of essays for this mini-series. Titled Conrad and Kirowan, Explorers of Eldritch Horror and Delvers into the Dark Arts. The essay begins with a quote from Robert E. Howard's Dig Me No Grave. I could tell you things that would shatter your paltry brain. I could breathe into your ear names that would wither you like a burnt weed. What do you know of Yog-Sothoth, of Cthulhu and the sunken cities? None of these names is even included in your mythologies. Not even in your dreams have you glimpsed the black cyclopean walls of Koth, or shriveled before the noxious winds that blew from Yoggoth. Jeff opens by introducing Professors John Conrad and John Kirowan as Howard's fascinating exploration of the type of cosmic horror that H.P. Lovecraft was becoming popular for. Shanks writes of the occult detective genre having its roots in Edgar Allan Poe and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and that at the height of Howard's writing career, Weird Tales was practically overwhelmed with the genre. A genre that for modern audiences might be best represented by John Constantine, The X-Files, Supernatural, and even Scooby-Doo and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Robert E. Howard's primary source of inspiration was Lovecraft and that author's inquisitive protagonists, who often had their sanity shattered by delving too deeply into the eldritch mysteries of cosmic horror. After a correspondence that began in 1930, Howard decided to try his hand at writing such tales. The characters of Conrad and Kirowan appear together first in the story Children of the Night and then in Dig Me No Grave. The duo appear separately in similar stories thereafter. After this, Jeff highlights the details of the characters' backstories and closes by mentioning that the occult detectives are among only a handful of people in the 20th century to have knowledge of the forgotten Hyborian age and the foul sorcery and eldritch horrors lurking in the shadows of space and time that would shatter the paltry brains of lesser men. As always, Jeffrey Shanks' essays are a must-read, and for more on Dig Me No Grave, check out my recent video on the story. I'll include a link in the video description. After the Shanks essay, the chainmail letters page. And I've got to say that I really like the placement of the letters page as the last page in the book, something that the team at Heroic Signatures might want to consider adopting as their standard. And on the back cover, Conan Battle of the Black Stone event reading order. It's a checklist of the different properties you might want to check out to augment this epic mini-series. One of the many successes of Conan the Barbarian under Heroic Signatures has been the creative integration of Robert E. Howard's other characters. I'm speaking of Cull and Brule in the Cimmerian's ongoing series, and of course the cast of characters seen here in Battle of the Black Stone, and as seen in Savage Sword of Conan number 4. Here in issue number 3, the beast's tactic to do battle with its foes in time-trapped isolation, so diabolically demonstrated in issue number 2 in its battle with Borak, is elevated in its confrontation with John Conrad by building upon Howard's classic story, Dig Me No Grave. Prefaced as a shuddery tale of dark horror and evil things and the uncanny funeral rites over the corpse of old John Grimlin, Dig Me No Grave first appeared in the February 1937 issue of Weird Tales, and in 1972, an 8-page comic book adaptation by Roy Thomas was published in issue number 1 of Journey into Mystery. This featured art from Gil Kane and Tom Palmer. As Jeffrey Shanks mentions in his essay, this is the second story in which John Conrad and John Kirowan appear together. It begins with Conrad rousing Kirowan, Dan Kirowan in the comic, from sleep at an ungodly hour, seeking the assistance and fulfilling the peculiarly dark details of John Grimlin's last will and testament. Indeed, Conrad appears at Kirowan's door directly after witnessing the man's grotesque demise. As the pair venture to the house of the deceased, Conrad speaks of the old man's preoccupation with the dark arts. After encountering a mysterious stranger and participating in an ancient ritual, things take a devious turn as a soul once sold is reclaimed. The pair trapped break through the engulfing inferno, and it is to these moments that Jim Zub adds his flourish to Howard's story. Soul and body he sold to Malak Taus, who was Satan 250 years ago. This was the night of payment, and my God, look, the fiend has claimed his own. The beast of the Black Stone, taking advantage of the occult detective's past adventure, plays out its demoniac trap, supplanting itself into events, taking the place of the gigantic black shadow like a monstrous bat, and from its dark clutch dangled a small white thing like the body of a man dangling limply, and it is gone. And instead, across time, fate's die is cast and history is rewritten, a new page in an old story. Be sure to check out my full telling of the original Weird Tales story, brought to life alongside Roy Thomas's comics adaptation, to experience just how wonderfully fitting is the way in which Zub incorporates Howard's original story into this time-bending tale. The macabre device established in issue number 2, Zub continues to use the beast's temporal entrapment to great and gruesome effect, and the sacrifice of one of our heroes is bloody dark indeed. Action aside, we're given a few personal moments of desperation and despondency, events moving so quickly, leaving no time for friends to grieve. It's a full issue, and once we pass the exposition in the first few pages, the reader is swept along at a similar pace. The story's close leaves this reader to imagine that issue number 4 will see 2 fronts of action open for a final and satisfying climactic battle. One in the worldly realm with the survivors, and another in the ethereal with the fallen heroes of man. Whatever Zub's plans are for the final issue, it's bound to be an action-packed banger. Jim Zub, Jonas Scharf, and Joao Canola continue to reward readers with something distinct from the monthly series, marked by its own unique style and panel flow. It's not a Conan comic. It's a Howard comic, and that's a great thing for fans and for the author's legacy. Thanks for watching, liking, heck, consider subscribing, and until next time, take it easy, you Stygian Dogs.